everybody. Welcome to The Power is Now Homebuyer Town Hall. My name is Eric Frazier. It's a beautiful day in Southern California, a great day to talk about real estate, folks, and we have a great show for you today. Of course, I have with me my fabulous VIP agents who are always bringing great insight on the topics we are going to discuss today. And of course, we're going to talk about financing. You know, unless you have cash, you need financing. And not only do we have products and programs we're going to talk about, but even down payment assistance. And so let's get started first with introductions. And with us all the way from the beautiful town of Chula Vista is Candice Thrower.
Hi, Eric. I'm glad to be here today. I'm Candice Thrower. My license number is 01756844, and I service the Chula Vista area. My phone number is 619-227-6089, and I can be reached on my website at CandiceThrowerAndAssociates.com. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Candice. We can always count on you to bring great insight in our discussions. Next up is Jenny Gonzalez. Jenny G sells homes, a fixture here on The Power is Now. Welcome to the show, Jenny.
Thank you, Eric, and it's a pleasure as usual. And from Corona, Homebuyer Townhall, Corona, this is Jenny Gonzalez with Kel Williams Corona. My license number is 01249788. I've been licensed since 1998. My cell phone number is 951-316-0374, and my website's jennygsaleshomes.com. I specialize in Corona and all of Inland Empire, and I look forward to today's show.
Thank you, Jenny. Again, always bringing great insight in what's happening in Corona, and we look forward to hearing from you. Now, folks, it's almost impossible for most people to pay cash for a home, and so they need financing. And we have with us today Meagan Harris with the Golden State Finance Authority. Welcome, Meagan, to the show.
Hello, Eric. Hello, esteemed panelists. I'm happy to be here as always. Meagan Harris with Golden State Finance Authority. Really excited to get into the program discussion tonight, as well as all the other hot topics, and happy to be here.
Thank you, Meagan. I really appreciate the partnership with the Golden State Finance Authority and the great work you guys are doing in helping Californians become homeowners. Now, folks, that's our panelists, and we're going to be talking about hot topics right now. And the first is, you know, what value does an agent bring? You know, how important is it to have an agent? And so we're going to have our panelists kind of explore that question because it is a valid question. Many people try to do it on their own. People try to sell their home on their own. People try to find a home on their own. What value does an agent actually bring? Why do you need an agent? And then the second question, which is really kind of naturally flows from the first, and that is, as a buyer, should you sign a buyer's agent agreement or buyer's contract for representation? Should you sign an agreement? And this is a question that, you know, a lot of agents wonder themselves, because many agents represent buyers without a written agreement, and there are others who will not represent a buyer unless they enter into an agreement. So those are the two hot topics we're going to talk about after this commercial break. You're listening to The Power is Now, Homebuyer Town Hall. My name is Eric Frazier. Let's get started.
Want to keep up with the current developments happening in the world of real estate? The Real Estate Roundtable, hosted by Eric L. Frazier, is a show you do not want to miss. The show features a panel of VIP agents who are passionate about helping people. It is what they do best. They discuss today's hot topics, latest market updates and trends. The panel also conducts interviews with prominent figures in the industry. New episode every Friday live on Facebook and replay on the Power is Now YouTube channel.
And we're back. For those of you just joining us, welcome to The Power is Now Homebuyer Townhall live every Tuesday night on social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and soon to be on Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Fire Stick, and your smartphone devices, and also all smart TVs. You can catch us live and or pre-recorded on these platforms. So please look out for us in the days and weeks coming. Now, today we are talking about the value that a real estate agent brings to a transaction. That's our hot topic. What value does a real estate agent bring? Should you even work with an agent? Do you need an agent to buy your home or to sell a home? And so that's the first question. And Jenny Gonzalez is up to take it on. Jenny, what say you on the matter? What value does a buyer's agent bring?
Thank you, Eric. This is one of my favorite subjects to talk about. I actually talk about this every time I talk to a potential client, because they ask me, what is the difference between you and those other agents or iBuyer products? And I'm going to tell you the biggest thing that is the difference is us being human beings and being able to answer your questions and be sympathetic and your advocate for everything that happens in the transaction. If you do not have a realtor, you are opening yourself up to, number one, liability, number two, possible downfalls and losing money if you're a buyer and you have a deposit on a property and you can't get it back. As a seller, if you're representing yourself, you actually are going to sign a piece of paper saying that you are not covered in the transaction, only the buyer is covered in a transaction. So we as realtors are educated on how to deal with situations and how to best serve our clients in every single question that they have. And if we don't have the answers to those questions, we have the resources. Since we're part of NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors, we're able to talk to legal counsel for free and get those questions answered for you, rather than you having to go and talk to an attorney or a CPA to answer certain questions that come up.
Jenny, great answer. And if you would just expound on the value you bring as an agent to a buyer versus a seller and a seller versus a buyer. You mentioned one thing about the seller and then them taking on the liability. But what else about a buyer?
Buyers actually have so many questions. They think that if they go on their own, they can find all the answers on YouTube or articles. And then they get into the transaction and they really find out that they don't know anything. So at that point, then they say, oh, I guess I really didn't know anything. I do need a realtor. Where in the beginning, if they start with the beginning with a realtor, we have a consultation with them. We go over what their needs and their wants are. We talk about what it is that they really truly are looking for in a home, a payment, the community, and everything else that's involved, where if you don't use a realtor, you're just driving around wasting gas, maybe possibly looking at properties you don't even qualify for because you think, oh, I'm going to put an offer on this house and I'll get my lender to go ahead and approve it at a higher price. It doesn't work that way. We are here to advocate for you to make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to and you don't get left out in the cold.
Thank you, Jenny, for your insights on this very important question. And you're right. It's difficult for a buyer to kind of go to real estate school or even mortgage banking school, overnight and become an expert. You do need expert representation. And with that said, there is an expert also on the panel, just like you, Candice Thrower. Candice, what do you think about the value that that an agent brings to a buyer and that an agent brings to a seller?
Yes, so I agree wholeheartedly with everything Jenny says. We as buyer agents, we are there to represent the best the goals of the buyer, right? We're there to advocate, like Jenny says, and we're also there to take them through the contract. In the contract, there are timelines in the contract. There's 3 days to get that deposit in. There's 7 days to look at the seller's disclosures. You have timelines to order your appraisal, do your home inspection, 17 days. So there's a lot of contractual timelines that are within those contracts as well. Also, we're there to help interpret the information that you're getting back from the seller. In those disclosures, the seller is going to explain everything that has gone on with that property. And so we, as agents for you as a buyer, we're interpreting that information, and we're going to let you know if these are health or safety issues versus, something that could be cosmetic. So we're there in that regard as well. As far as the seller goes, the seller has their own independent listing agent, and that agent, again, is looking out for the seller's best interest. I had a situation where I had a friend and she thought, oh, they're selling the house and I can just go and buy the house. And, she didn't realize that my fee could be covered by the seller, in the transaction. And so she ended up buying this beautiful condo, and they didn't disclose any information about what was going on with the plumbing. And she ended up having a big, huge plumbing problem. She had to rip out the kitchen within like 4 months. And I think the worst part of all was that she didn't even realize she had an HOA. So she ended up being behind. It was like 9 months before she got a notice. And not only did she not know she had one HOA, but there were 2 HOAs that she ended up not even paying. So she became delinquent for lack of knowledge. So that's where we really come in. We are able to help and walk you through and make sure, again, that your best interest is being protected.
Well, I think that having someone to be your advocate is everything. It's the same reason why we don't go into a court of law without an attorney, right? Or we don't face serious medical challenges without having someone there with us to make sure that we understand clearly what we're facing. And so I see real estate agents as just that serious as, dealing with a legal matter. And some would argue, and in fact, in many states, the selling of real estate is practically the practice of law. And also in dealing with health issues or tax issues, you would get a professional, someone that truly knows the tax law to address any issues you may have with taxes. Now, we have Meagan Harris here. She's not a real estate agent, but she's a mortgage professional. She's a homeowner. Meagan, what's your perception about the value that an agent brings to a buyer?
Absolutely, Eric. And I think we really do think alike, because I swear I was just thinking about how important it is to have an expert. Google is fabulous, right? We can look up all our quick answers there, but there's no substitute for representation and experience. And I think that's what it comes down to. I was thinking about an example of being innocent of a crime, but still having to, prove that in a court of law. Even if you're innocent, you still need expert representation, right? The law isn't necessarily going to go on your side just because, it's black and white. There are nuances present in the situation that expert representation can draw out and work to your benefit. And I think that's the same purpose that a real estate expert serves. I have a personal experience. When I bought my first home, I put in an offer, and I'm telling you, you guys, I stalked this property for weeks. As soon as it became available, I contacted my agent and I said, let's put in an offer. She's like, okay. So we put in the offer. I think it was a Saturday, and they accepted the offer, but it was verbal, right? Because it's over the weekend. So when Monday rolled around, of course, they had a chance to look at all the offers by then and decided mine wasn't any good anymore. And I was devastated. But my realtor was like, oh, no, that's not how this is going to work. And so she was able to work her expertise in the situation and make it to where my offer was re-accepted. But of course, it was competitive, right? We had to strategize, and she said, here's what we're going to have to do. I'm doing what I need to do on my end, but here's what you need to do on your end. This is all information I wouldn't have had I been working on my own. If I were my own representative in that situation, I would have lost out and I wouldn't have been able to purchase that condo. We turned that deal around and I got in the home, and it was perfect. And it was fabulous. So just saying that to say, guys, you can never underestimate the power of a team. And when you have a star player like a real estate agent on your team to help serve your interest in the transaction, you're setting yourself up for success, not only in the short term, but also in the long term, because this is a huge investment and it's really important that, you handle it accordingly.
Meagan, wow, you just knocked it out of the park. I have to make you the winner today for the best answer. Now, I love your example too of being, charged of a crime, innocent, but you got to prove yourself guilty. You would have to get an expert, and truly, in real estate, everything has to be done in writing, and there are rules and processes that you must follow. And if you don't know those things, you're just asking for trouble. And in this particular case, I love your example where they verbally accepted an offer, and then, come the following day, they decided to choose another offer. Now, the offer wasn't, obviously, they didn't accept it in writing, but I know your agent knew that it's more of an ethical thing. I'm sure she argued that you cannot, even though all things in real estate has to be in writing, I mean, you have to operate in good faith. So I'm certain she was able to get your offer back into kind of the mix because it's just not right to call out an acceptance and then to pull it back simply because you didn't put it in writing.
Exactly, Eric. I mean, if it weren't for her, I wouldn't have known what to do because I didn't have the language or the experience, even though I'm a, seasoned mortgage professional, been in the business for years. There's still aspects of the business that I don't, know, just like a surgeon isn't going to have the same expertise as a cardiologist or, a dentist, right? Like everybody has their own lane where they have expertise, and that's where we have to lean on those expertise to help us through those situations.
No, you're absolutely right. And we should all learn to stay in our lane. My wife, she doesn't believe in staying in lanes. She thinks that I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician, I'm a gardener, that I could do anything. And I said, she just married the wrong guy. And it's too bad she's learned this after 40 years of marriage, but I'm not that guy. I believe in hiring the right person for the right job and those with the expertise to do it right the first time. Now, I'm going to take this conversation to the next level. One of the challenges that I think that buyers agents run into is buyers thinking that they could get a better deal if they deal with the listing agent. And so it ends up being a dual agency. The listing agent is representing the buyer and the seller. So I'm going to go back to Candice on this one. Candice, first, what do you think about dual agency? And can you address this perception for our buyers who are watching right now, are listening, this idea that they can actually get a better deal by dealing directly with the listing agent and having them represent them as opposed to their own agent?
Yes, Eric. So again, the listing agent has a contract, a termed contract already written with the seller. And so that is their contract, and that agent is, obligated to represent that seller for the next, 6 months. And so when you come along as a buyer's agent, they're looking at you maybe as an additional income, but typically, and I'm not going to say all the time because I've been in the position where I was able to represent both buyer and seller, but I say a number of times, some agents are just looking at, maybe the additional income. And I got to go back to the case where my friend, she thought the same thing. Well, if I just go direct, I'm going to get treated right. This is going to be a smooth transaction. And they didn't even tell her that she had an HOA. So it's those kind of things, we as agents, we are obligated to represent the buyers or the sellers that we are in contract with. And if we're just solely focusing on that individual in that transaction, we are definitely going to protect your best interest. We're going to help you interpret, those timelines and those disclosures that we see. That's what we're there for. And so I just think it's I think it's a better deal if you can stay neutral with the buyer agent representing the buyer and the seller agent representing the seller. I think it's like the best.
Do you think the buyer is at a disadvantage, on the norm? I mean, is there a situation that a buyer would not be at a disadvantage when they're being represented by the agent who's also representing the seller?
There are times, I mean, I've done it before. I think there's times, I feel like as long as you have complete disclosure, you're talking to the seller and you're letting the seller know, I'm going to be representing this buyer, and you're doing it in a manner where you are still able to represent each of those individuals as, in the capacity that you are expected to, I do think that it can work as well. I'm not going to say 100% of the time, no, don't do it. I won't say that. But if you can walk that line and be neutral and understand that the seller's information is basically sacred. You can't go in and say, well, I know they'll take this as the lowest price. I know they're desperate. Things like that cannot be disclosed. But yes, I do think there are times that you can walk that line and be a neutral dual agent and give the highest representation to both parties.
Wow. Well, I think that's a tall glass of water to drink here, a big order to fill. And I love, and I would underscore walk the line, because clearly it is a line that you're walking that you don't want to cross in terms of acting as a fiduciary for both parties, because that's essentially what you become, a fiduciary, or operating in the best interest of both parties when you're representing both. And I find it troubling that an agent is able to do both. But let's see what Jenny has to say on the matter. Jenny, what say you?
I actually am one of those agents that about 50% of the time, I double end my deals. So I do bring the buyers in, usually through open houses. And I have had actually wonderful experiences with these buyers and sellers. First of all, I explained to the sellers in the very beginning that my contract with them as a listing agent, my first duty is to them. And any buyer that comes in, they are secondary. So the seller is always the original first person. And then the buyer is just, in my words, just another offer. I submit all offers, and if my offer is the one that is submitted, then I act just as if I was the agent on the buyer side. And I have been able to do that for 23 years now. I used to get a lot of flack for it because people thought that I was doing it on purpose, but it was actually through open houses. And not only that, I can actually judge the buyer, and I can tell the seller the stories about the buyers, tell them how they came in, what it is that they said, what they liked about the property, and they actually make connections themselves and relationships themselves. That is what I have found with regards to this. Now, when we're talking about buyers that are going to think that they're going to get a better deal on a listing, that's a no-brainer. That's a no. The only person that's getting a better deal is the seller, because usually they are getting the best price. And a lot of times the agent will reduce their commission just a little bit if they're double ending the deal. Most agents will. So the only person that's really getting anything usually more out of it, unless the agent is not a reputable agent that has the actual heart of buyers and sellers in their interest, the only person that's benefiting from the buyer going directly to the seller should be the seller.
Wow. Well, if the seller is going to be the person benefiting, how is that not a disadvantage to the buyer?
It is, because a lot of these times when they're being told, I'll give you a better deal, it's not a true case, because you're not going to get a better deal going to the agent. You're going to get the same deal as anybody else.
So then why doesn't the listing agent just, refer the buyer to another agent so that they can be fully represented? Why? Because it seems like it's just at that point to represent the agent a money move, right? Because they're making additional money, even with reducing their commission that the seller would normally pay them, they're still making far more than
That
they
is
would be if
correct.
they were just representing just the seller.
That is correct. And yes, that is, if a seller is really that, or even an agent is that, desperate to make money, I don't know what to say about those agents. I'm just not that type of agent. But with regards to, what do I want to say? The way that buyers are looking at it, all they need to do is they need to find their realtor and let them guide them to the houses and let them get the greatest deal for them, and let them negotiate with the listing agent and get that relationship with the listing agent. Because otherwise, they're just dealing with all the offers and they're going to pick the one that the seller wants to deal with.
So Jenny, let me see if I can get you to bottom line it for me. And what is your advice to a prospective buyer to work with the listing agent or to get their own buyer's agent?
If you do not already have an agent and there is a house that you absolutely have to have and you are pre-approved, go to that agent, put an offer on, get your home now. But if you don't have that yet and you're thinking about buying a house, contact me or another realtor that's close by you, that, if you're in another area, so that we can represent you in the correct way.
All right. Well, next up is Meagan Harris. And Meagan, I'd love to hear your perspective on this, especially now having gone to that experience where you had to have someone to fight for you and to get your deal done. What is your opinion on whether or not a person should, go direct to the listing agent instead of having their own agent? Do you feel that they would be at a disadvantage?
I mean, I think Jenny laid it out pretty plainly that the buyer's at a disadvantage, regardless of how settled it might be. I don't know about you guys, but I'm never going to sign up for second bidding, right? Like, why? I'm not second string. I want the top notch, first class, like bells and whistles. I want it all. This is a huge experience. This is a major life event. And I deserve to have the representation and advocacy and expertise to leverage on my behalf as well. And so that being said, if you're a buyer who really wants to, get the best representation and make sure you're setting yourself up successfully in the transaction, and you don't have a license or, any kind of team in the background coaching you on how to proceed, then I think it's in your best interest to hire an agent to advocate on your behalf. And then on the flip side, there are benefits to going directly through the listing agent. If you're looking for more so convenience and, you're less concerned about price and you just want to cut out all the, the fat and the competition and just go straight in and just give your offer and you don't care how the chips fall, that's how bad you want the house, you're the desperate one in that situation, there's no shame in that. If that's what you want, then absolutely go for it. But I do believe that, especially for our first time home buyers and those folks that are really looking to get the most bang for their buck, which is really important when it comes to real estate, that you do get that agent on your side.
Meagan, I love how you begin this, and that is so true. I think not just in real estate, but anyone who is providing a service, you want their very best. You want their full attention. You want great service. You want communication. You want the best that they can offer you. And when it comes to, representing you to get something, well, the stakes are even higher, that you want them to be all in on you. And so I love that. And why play second fiddle to anyone? I think also too, there is a question on whether or not a listing agent can truly represent the buyer without feeling somewhat compromised, or if not the listing agent themselves, the buyer feeling compromised, and in some cases, even the seller feeling compromised because you are representing the buyer as well. So there's a biblical saying that says, no man can serve two masters. He will either love the one or he'll despise the other. So I think there's even, kind of spiritual foundation to the challenge that it represents, and representing one person representing both sides. This has been an interesting discussion. One thing I want to make clear is that a buyer's agent is paid by the seller. And I would say that's 99% of the time. There are circumstances where the buyer is actually going to pay the buyer's agent's commission. It's rare, but that does happen from time to time in extremely competitive situations. You may find that situation. So if most of the time, 99% of the time, the buyer's compensation is being paid by the seller, then as a buyer, there's no cost to you to have this representation. And because you're not paying the cost, you should seek one of the best in the marketplace. And I couldn't find a better group of individuals that are on the Powers Now website. They're called VIP agents. With us today, Candice Thrower out of Chula Vista, and we have Jenny Gonzalez out of Corona. These are extraordinary real estate professionals, as well as other agents on our platform that are seasoned, tenured agents, and they're going to represent you whether you're a seller or a buyer. Now, we're going to transition and talk about whether you as a buyer should sign a buyer's contract. And we're going to do so right after this commercial break. You're listening to The Power Is Now, Homebuyer Townhall. We'll be right back.
Many Californians fear that they will not be able to pay their rent next month. Financial education and literacy are the catalyst for relief. So what resources are out there? A State of California program connects you with a HUD-certified housing counselor who can assist you on your financial education journey with no cost to you. Call today at 1-800-569-4287. Again, that is 1-800-569-4287.
And we're back. For those of you just joining us, welcome to The Power Is Now, Homebuyer Townhall. Folks, we're having a great conversation about buyer representation. Do you need a buyer's agent as a buyer? Do you need an agent as a seller? What do agents really bring to the table? Well, I think Jenny and Candace and Meagan have all done a wonderful job in just sharing their insight on this very important question. If you need an agent, though, I want to encourage you to consider a VIP agent right here on The Power Is Now. Now, you have decided to get an agent and to help you identify property. That agent wants you to sign a contract, an exclusive agreement that says you're going to work with them. Many buyers don't want to do that. They don't want to be locked in, and many agents don't want to work with a buyer that's not going to be kind of locked in with them. And so we have our esteemed panelists here today to give us their insight on this very important question. And we're going to start with Candice Thrower. Candice, should a buyer sign a buyer's representation agreement? And do you work with buyers if they're not willing to do so?
So I do work with buyers that sign the buyer broker agreement. And what it does is it clearly lays out the expectations of our relationship. Just like a seller has their representation, I feel like the buyer should have their representation as well, as we spoke about. Laying out those expectations. It can be any terms that you and the buyer agree upon. It could be for a specific property. It could be for a certain time frame. It just depends on what grounds you guys build this relationship on. And again, it's just something that kind of gives you a guideline and manages the expectation. So what I typically do is when I have a buyer, I'll have a consultation with them and I go over everything, that they're going to come across with the contract, with the timelines, the costs associated with purchasing a home. I even go over some of the difficult transactions that I've gone through so that they know that I'm in it to win it. I'm not just going to walk away because, something has gone on with the property. So I'm there as an advisor, as an expert, as an experienced person, again, to help them navigate through this process. And so, yes, I do utilize the buyer broker agreement. It's so funny that some escrow companies are surprised. Actually, last time I used it, they didn't even know how to pay my commission from it. So it's interesting. Like you said, 99% of agents, they don't use that. But I just think it's good practice. Again, it lays out the expectation, the goals of the buyer. If at any time I did have a couple of buyers that decided, you know what, I don't want to buy right now, or I want to take my search in a different direction, I don't hunt them down and, hit them over the head with the contract. It's just, it is what it is. But again, it just brings clarity to that representation.
Well, I'm glad, and I'm sure our audience is happy to hear that you're not hitting people over the head with contracts. But you make a good point, and that is that, you've got to be flexible, I say. So you're willing to work with buyers that aren't willing to sign the contract, but you prefer that they do sign the contract. Am I clear on that?
Oh, absolutely. But I'd say 9 out of 10 buyers, they do sign the contract. They do sign a contract to work with us. And then I let them know, the seller pays most of our fees. But in the case that they don't, my fee is whatever my fee is. And this difference in that fee will be what you will be responsible for. And so they do understand that.
So let's explore that just for a minute more here. And
okay.
I'm going to bring Jenny in. So the buyer's agreement is in fact a contract that could result in the buyer paying the buyer's agent. And what are the circumstances, for the sake of our listening and watching audience, what are the circumstances that could occur where the buyer would have to pay you and not, for your services?
Well, the circumstance is once we sign that agreement, they're agreeing to work with me for a certain period of time, or again, it could be just for a specific listing. Say they might not want to sign a 3-month agreement or a 2-month agreement, but they love this house across the street and they really want it. And so it could be for that duration. So what would happen is if they found another agent to represent them during our agreement, then they're responsible for bringing that commission to me because we have that agreement.
So the other agent would be paid because they're representing, and they'll be paid through the contract and by the seller. And so the buyer then would have to pay you out of their own pocket.
Absolutely.
Unless they go ahead.
I'm sorry. Oh, I was going to say as they would if they had not gone to the other agent. So our commitment is still the same. Now, again, if the buyer comes back and says, you know what, I decided I don't want to work with you. My cousin's brother's stepfather is here and he's a realtor and I'd just rather work with him. Then guess what? Let's tear it up and go. I'm not that agent, again, that will chase you around because you signed a document with me.
Well, I think that the impression that a contract, gives is that you're locked in no matter what. You're locked in no matter
Mhm.
what. So to have something in writing that says you're locked in, and to have an agent say something kind of different verbally, those two things don't always kind of, match up, right?
Right. And again, I've had a situation. In my book, in my consultation book, I always say that my services are guaranteed. If you feel at the end of the day, this is not working out for you, or I might feel it's not working out for me, we need to have a discussion, right? We just need to have a discussion. And sometimes you don't know those things until you get into a relationship. Or it could be a timing issue. We thought we were going to purchase a house in 2 months, but it looks like it's going to be next year sometime. So things happen, and you just have to be very flexible. But I make it known that at any time this agreement can be broken. And so if that's the way that the cookie crumbles per se, then the cookie crumbles that way. Because I know I'm an active agent, so I know that this is not going to destroy my work. You know what I mean? There's other people that I'm helping, other people that I'm serving. I've been at this since 2006, and I'm a professional person. And so, yeah, the contract is basically there so that I can explain to you and manage the expectations of our relationship and what's involved with this relationship. And again, the seller has their representation. And as a buyer, you want that same dedication, experienced person there on paper working for you.
Wow, Candice, I love the way you have made the case. And it is a mutual agreement. You only want to work with people that want to work with you. And an agent should only want to work with not an agent, but a buyer should only want to work with an agent that they like and have a relationship with. And so the contract can almost seems kind of secondary, and that it does, as you stated, sets forth the expectations that the buyer should have of you as an agent, the things that you're going to do, just like what we talked about earlier in the first segment. The value that an agent brings, and the things that you're going to do to represent them, and to have that in writing just seems like it's good business. At the same time, I mean, agents are not paid by the hour. You are expending money and time and gas to research and to visit properties, what have you. All of that is on the hopes that you're able to secure a property. I don't know why this is the only industry where agents have to spend all their money and time for a client and can potentially not get paid. It doesn't happen with attorneys. It doesn't happen with doctors. It doesn't happen with CPAs. It doesn't even happen. I can't even get an air conditioner guy to come out to my house without paying him up front a fee. I mean, so this is the only industry where individual professionals are asked to work kind of on the come. Jenny, what say you on this matter? First, do you require that your buyers sign an agreement? And what is the value proposition for the buyer to sign the agreement?
First of all, I do not always make my buyers sign an agreement. First, I feel out my buyers and see if the buyers fit both with me and with the buyers. If they do, then yes, I do. With my buyer's consultation, I explain to them that I'm going to send them a buyer representation agreement. And the way I word it is, I'm going to be showing you properties and you're going to be driving by properties. And on some days, you may be driving by an open house and find the house that just came on the market yesterday and want to put an offer on that house. And the listing agent says, you have to do it now, and you have to do it now with me, or else you don't get the house. And after 6 months of showing properties to somebody, and literally I was going to bring this up, we do not get paid to drive people around and show houses. We don't get paid to look up comparable sales. We don't get paid until after the keys are in your hand. We get paid a few days after that, after the close of escrow. So what a buyer broker agreement actually entails is what everybody's duties are, And at the very end, there's a percentage that we can put in there for commission. So in our office, we are required and we are asked to bring at least 2% commission in on a deal. So I will put 2% commission on that contract. So if they do buy a property through an open house, through somebody else, and they have that contract signed, they are to pay 2% commission to me. But I want to bring up what is new, because now we have stuff that is actually not so encumbering. We can first, as of December, we have our new forms coming out, and that means new rules. So that the agency disclosure we have that we signed with the buyer originally with the purchase agreement, we can have the buyer sign that, and that is considered a buyer broker agreement as of December. And then we can follow up with the actual buyer broker agreement later. So that agency disclosure actually will start us off as representing the buyer and will cover us until we can get into negotiations on a house. So that is something positive about new changes. So we can start off with like a gentle approach of, here, I need you to sign this form saying I'm representing you, and this is going to go with an offer when we submit your offer. And you've got them there. Okay, so that's your first spot. And then as you consult them and continue to nurture them, and then when they're ready to go see a house, that's when you put the buyer broker agreement in effect with that commission percent on there, and explain to them that you have been burned in the past, that you have worked hard for your clients in the past and you have not gotten paid for transactions. And they said, really, you don't get paid just to do that? I can countless times have people told me that they thought that that's the way that we work. No, that's not the way we work. We do not get paid until after the keys are in your hand. That is why we have to have these agreements, because otherwise we would have no guarantee of being paid for our work.
No, you're absolutely right, Jenny. And it just seems odd to me, being a broker and a banker, but a banker far longer than I've been a broker and agent. And as you guys know, my wife and daughters all sell real estate. This is something that has never sit well with me ever since I got my license. There ought to be some type of compensation to agents just for the work that they do to research properties, write offers, take their clients out, to preview properties, to be looking for properties during the week while their clients are working and trying to find homes. I mean, it's a lot of work and hours being spent only to end up with nothing. So the explanation, though, is that you're in business for yourself. And so all businesses kind of have that, right? They've got to get clients to come to their store to buy their product. And if they don't, well, they don't make anything. In your case, it's a little bit more than that, but you got to get clients to trust you and to stick with you all the way through in order to get paid. And sometimes that doesn't always happen. So Jenny, if a client doesn't want to sign your buyer's agreement and you decide to move forward, what does that say to you when they don't want to do it? Are you concerned? And, is that your opportunity to maybe exit the relationship?
No, I don't, because that gives me the opportunity to just show them more value. So I will take the opportunity to go above and beyond to show them exactly what it is that I do. So I will literally just do full on drop-bys with cookies. There's all kinds of stuff that Jenny comes up with to get people's attention. So, Christmas time is a really fun time for people who know Jenny. You got brownies and cookies and all this stuff because I like to bake. And during the other times, it's just a matter of, I like to make those phone calls and make sure that I'm connecting with those people. Talked to one yesterday, the one story that I love to tell all the time. I talked to them yesterday and I was literally crying And then they were crying on the phone because it was their anniversary. It's been 4 years since they've been in the house. And we were just crying. And I couldn't imagine anybody else representing this family besides me, because of all of the things that we had to go through to get their mom's house sold, who was in a wheelchair, and then find another home for them that everybody be happy with. And now everybody is thriving. Everybody is just thriving. And when you have agents that care about that, those are the kinds of agents that you want to do with. And when you're dealing with me, that's what you got. Sometimes I will cry with you, because sometimes there's things to cry about, laugh about, get excited about, and I'm there to help both buyers and sellers get those things done.
You know, Jenny, I can only imagine, you present the contract and they don't want to sign the contract, and your response, you don't want to sign the contract? No, not that you would, not that you would cry, but the relationship that you are building with them would make it hard, I think, for them not to want to enter into some type of agreement with you, because they trust you. Plus, you make probably incredible brownies and cookies on top of that. And in fact, your opening comment to my question reminds me of Michelle Obama. When they go low, we go high. So when they don't want to say, when they don't want to sign a contract, you just take your game to another level.
Because if we don't do that, then what happens? We may lose out. We may not, but then it makes us look even better, and it makes them want to work with us even more.
Yes, absolutely. Meagan, now I can't even imagine how you feel about this, having gone through what you went through in the purchase of your home and your position on representation. Did you sign a contract, a buyer's agreement? Were you even presented with a buyer's agreement when you engaged your realtor?
Well, that's a great, question, Eric, but I have to say, I would definitely hold out for the cookies. If I were in that position, I'm holding out for the cookies. You would win me over all the way, Jenny. That's a winning strategy in my book. But to answer your question, Eric, I think that just goes into the importance of really picking a realtor that you trust and that you have the confidence in their abilities to deliver on what you need. Because, I basically got into my relationship with my realtor on a referral basis, and it was someone who I trusted who referred me to this person. So that on its own gave me the confidence to work with this person, because I know who the person I got the referral from, right? And I know how they handle their business. So if you were working with that person, then you're definitely going to have a good experience when you have a trustworthy referral. So that being said, I wouldn't have minded signing an exclusivity agreement with that agent because of the confidence that I had, and not only the referral, but the way she was handling me when we connected. Because it's one thing to get a referral, and then the recipient still has to catch the baton, right? It's like a relay race, right? You still got to do your part. So when the agent receives me and I'm getting excellent customer service and communication and information and contact, I'm definitely more likely to enter in an exclusivity agreement there, because I have the comfort and peace of mind that it's not just a one-way relationship. I'm getting my needs met as well.
Meagan, you are bringing it. In fact, all of you are. What a great show this is so far today, folks. For those of you who are just tuning in, you're watching the Powers Now Homebuyer Town Hall, or you're listening to on our podcast, the Powers Now Homebuyer Town Hall. And I have three fabulous, highly intelligent ladies here breaking it down on the importance of working with an agent, on whether you should sign a buyer's agreement with an agent. These are very important questions, and questions you perhaps have not even considered or even been presented with because you haven't started the process yet, or perhaps you're in the process and now you're wondering, kind of what's happening and what should be happening or what you would like to see happen. Well, this is part one of the Homebuyer Town Hall, and we're going to take a break and come back and talk about financing real estate. We have Meagan Harris, the last person who spoke on this segment, to talk about the Golden State Finance Authority Down Payment Assistance Program, and I'm going to talk about the California Housing Finance Agency's Down Payment Assistance Program. Now is a great time to buy. Interest rates are low, and there is money available to help you. We're going to get into the details when we come back. You're listening to The Power Is Now, Homebuyer Town Hall. We'll be right back.
The Power Is Now magazines are the leading resource for real estate agents, mortgage bankers, entrepreneurs, and small home ownership businesses, providing leaders with business strategy information, resources, and tools through PIN, real estate, programming guide magazines. Stay up to the minute with real estate news and information from industry experts. Subscription is free. Sign up today. thepowerisnow.com. thepowerisnow.com.
And we're back. For those of you just joining us, welcome to The Power Is Now, Homebuyer Town Hall. Man, this has been a crazy show today, talking about buyers, agents, and the representation, what the expectation should be, whether you should sign a contract or not. I hope you've learned something or perhaps made your mind up as to the type of agent you want to work with and whether you're going to sign a contract or not, and just what you're looking for. And of course, if you're looking for a seasoned real estate professional, then I highly recommend a VIP agent. These are agents that we endorse on The Power Is Now. Hey, they write for our magazine. They conduct interviews about the market and on listings. They are established, seasoned agents in their respective markets. And so I highly recommend you choose a VIP agent. And if you're in Chula Vista or Corona, California, then I have two right here on the show today. Now, if you're looking to buy, I want you to consider using down payment assistance, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. But with the Golden State, you don't even have to be a first-time home buyer. You can be a move-up buyer, buying your next property. You need a bigger house, or you need to downsize. The Golden State is here for you. Now, in addition to being the host of this show and the president and CEO of the Power Is Now Media, I'm also a vice president and mortgage advisor with First Bank. My license number is 461807. The views and opinions that I've expressed today are my own and do not necessarily reflect that of First Bank. But First Bank is an approved lender with the Golden State Finance Authority. I love this company, what they're doing, the number of people they're helping, the flexibility in their programs. You know what? I'm not going to present it. I'm going to let Meagan do all the talking. Welcome again, Meagan, to the show. Thank you for taking time to share these incredible programs with our audience.
Thank you, Eric. Well, you can keep going. You were doing a great job. I couldn't be more excited about presenting the information on our programs today. Really happy. First Bank, as Eric mentioned, is one of our approved lenders. They offer both down payment assistance programs that we have available. The Platinum Down Payment Assistance Program, which provides up to 5% in assistance as a 3-year forgivable second mortgage. And we can get into more detail on that later. Or it's provided as a gift that's immediately forgiven. So there's no waiting period or any seasoning that has to happen before you receive the assistance as the gift. And then we also have the Open Doors program, which provides up to 7% in down payment assistance. It's a little bit different than the Platinum program and the way it's structured. It's a combination of a deferred second mortgage, which is basically a mortgage that will not be forgiven. It will have to be repaid. But in addition to that second mortgage, you will receive a gift. And in terms of the second mortgage terms, there aren't going to be any payments that you make. There's not any interest on it. It's just going to be paid off whenever you pay off your first mortgage through selling or refinancing the mortgage, or just through making 30 years worth of payments on the loan. So when discerning the differences between which program is going to be the best fit for you, that's when you really kind of have to go into the details as to the qualifying parameters, as well as kind of weighing out what you need in terms of assistance, what the affordability factor is, interest rates, home prices, etc. So that's where having an expert on your team is really important. A lending professional such as Eric, a real estate professional such as Jenny or Candace, who can give you some insight or connections to folks who have access to these programs. So some of the qualifying distinctions between the Open Doors program and the Platinum program are credit scores, right? So for example, the minimum credit score for the Open Doors program is 620, whereas the minimum credit score for Platinum is 640. Now, on the surface, someone could say, well, why wouldn't I just go with the Open Doors program, right? It's a 620 minimum FICO, it gives up 7% in assistance, whereas Platinum, you need a minimum 640 FICO, and it provides 5% of assistance, which is less than 7%. However, Platinum is structured differently, right? We have the option of getting the assistance as a forgivable second. In other words, you never repay any portion of the assistance under Platinum, whether you get the assistance as a gift or a forgivable second, provided you comply with the terms of the assistance. Whereas on Open Doors, no matter what, you still have that repayment. Now that could be worth it for the right borrower, and for many borrowers it actually is, because the assistance provided under Open Doors is typically that boost that the buyer needs to get over the home buying hurdle. It makes your offer more competitive with respect to how much you're able to put down, because the program doesn't restrict the borrower's use of their own funds. And it also provides that peace of mind and security you need post-closing to feel like, I didn't just go broke buying this house. I have this mortgage payment I'm now responsible for, but I still have a little money in the bank. So there are many benefits to using down payment and closing cost assistance. It doesn't have to come with the inconvenience and hassles and hangups that are typically present when you have such programs, because ours isn't a public program in that it's not publicly funded with government funds or state funds. It is a privately funded program. So we don't have any kind of politics interfering with our ability to provide the program. So that in and of itself cuts out a lot of red tape. We also don't do any kind of underwriting or compliance reviews prior to closing the loan. So what this does is it allows the lender to be in control of the timeline and getting the loan closed, which is significant, right? Real estate transactions are particularly time sensitive. So it's really important that service deliveries and commitments are kept. And so GSFA honors that position of the lender by kind of removing ourselves from that equation and just allowing the business to be conducted as promised, or whatever terms were agreed upon. So that's pretty much what we have in a nutshell on the programs. I'm open to answering any questions you guys might have. There's a lot of details here, so I don't want to, glaze anyone's eyes over.
Meagan, you do a fantastic job always, and I appreciate you taking time to join us today to talk about Golden State. And I get excited about the Golden State program because of all the flexibility that it brings. And I want to highlight a few things that you've mentioned here, which I think is so important to me as a lender. I need to be able to close on time. And a lot of agents out there have this misconception that if they work with any program associated with down payment assistance, it could cause delays in closing the transaction on time. And I would have to agree with them that many programs, especially associated with county, city, and state programs, there are all types of steps and compliance and double checking of our work that needs to be done. But that's not the case with Golden State. You give us complete autonomy to underwrite and fund the loan, and you have just maybe one credit overlay that I can think of, and that is the maximum loan amount. Can you expound upon that?
Yeah, Eric, I think we have the perspective of private industry, whereas no shade to the public servants that, provide programs as well, right? But they don't necessarily have the same level of urgency that we do, right? When it comes to closing a real estate transaction. So it's really important that Golden State Finance Authority is serious about providing access to affordable home ownership for Californians. And part of our ability to do that is to move out of the way and give the program to the lenders to provide to home buyers so that we can actually complete that mission. The more interference and red tape we have, the less opportunity we have to create more home buyers in California.
No, you're absolutely right. And what this means, folks, is that for those of you who have had bankruptcies or foreclosures or short sales, for those of you who have judgments and tax liens and collection accounts, believe it or not, those things can't necessarily stop you from being able to participate in getting down payment assistance from the Golden State. We go by agency guidelines, and they're so clear on what you need to do. You just need to talk to me first, and I will guide you as to what you need to do to qualify for the down payment assistance with the Golden State Finance Authority. Another incredible, I would say, attribute or characteristic of your program is that you'll go up to 4 units. And right now, I mean, housing is so expensive. It's actually easier to qualify for a duplex or triplex because we can add the income from those other 2 or 3 units than it is for a single family home. And you will allow it up to your maximum loan amount, which today is $548,250, but soon to be higher once it's been announced that the loan limit is going to be higher, I think $625, but you guys have not actually rolled that out yet.
Exactly, Eric. Yeah, I mean, once the loan limit officially increases in 2022, you will see the program limit that GSFA has increased as well. So we're really excited about that. Obviously, California is on the higher end when it comes to the cost of real estate. So it's nice to see those limits increase so that more people have access to the program. And with respect to agency guidelines, it's really about simplicity and just making sure that, the process is seamless and streamlined. If this program is written with hurdles and hiccups, we're less likely to get more use out of the program, and therefore we're not helping as many people as we intend to help. So we just really appreciate you, Eric, and having this platform and making this information available, because the reality is that most people just don't know that these kind of programs exist.
No, they don't. And believe it or not, and you're familiar with this study, a recent study showed that most people still think that you need 20% down to buy a home. Can you believe that? With all the social media and access to information, and ask Google and ask Alexis and ask Siri. Many people out there still think you need 20% down, and that's simply not the case. There's a whole lot more, folks, to the Golden State program that, and Meagan she can't spend the whole time with us, but if you go to the Golden State website, you'll see a video that Carolyn Sensori, who is the director of marketing for the Golden State Finance Authority, and yours truly, Eric Frazier, did, and we got into the weeds. We got into the details, and there's more of that to come soon. Meagan, any final comments before I turn it over to my esteemed colleagues to ask you a few questions?
Definitely. So just to give a comprehensive explanation of what we just covered, because I know there's a lot of details here, but the bottom line is that the down payment assistance programs that Golden State offers are home mortgages that come with down payment and closing cost assistance. So it positions the home buyer to have a credible offer when they go to the table. So not only as the buyer do you have the financing to purchase the home, but you'll also have money to help you with the down payment and closing costs. We have a network of participating lenders that we work with that will link with you to help get you going on the program. Eric, of course, is a part of that esteemed network of participating lenders. So of course, he's one of the folks you can reach out to gain access to the program. And so and we do have a list of those lenders on our website as well, which is gsfahome.org.
Thank you, Meagan. Candace and Jenny, do you have any questions for Meagan?
I just have a couple of comments that I want to make on my favorite things about the GSFA program. Number one, for first responders. If you're a first responder, firefighter, police officer, teacher, you work in the medical field, you're a custodian at the school district, doesn't matter. Day one after the property records, that down payment assistance is a grant. It's gone. Second thing I like about it, it's 3-year rule. After 3 years as your primary residence, it is completely forgiven. It's prorated before that, the first year and second year. Those are my favorite things about the program. And maybe my third favorite, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. That is like the absolute best.
You know, Jenny, you just demonstrated why it's so important for anyone watching the show right now to reach out to a VIP agent. Because I think an agent is not just familiar or an expert on selling real estate, but they are students of the finance of real estate. Jenny does not originate loans. She doesn't have an MLS license, but she just laid out 3 very important benefits. And that's because she has been engaged in the process. She works with buyers. And Meagan, she did a great job. Did she not, in laying those out?
You did a great job.
Thank you, Jenny. I think you did a great job too. I appreciate that. That's one of the things that I love about this platform, Eric. You bring everybody together. We get to share information. And before you know it, we're all experts on each other's expertise. So it's just excellent. I just love it.
I love doing it. And it always makes me proud to see one of my VIP agents, you know, who I've been working with, just kind of lay it out there like an expert, the finance, because I'm the finance expert on the team, but slowly, these guys are catching up to me. You go, Jenny. Now, Candace is also familiar, and Candace is actually doing the program, right, Candace?
Yes, I believe in getting all in with my buyers. So if I'm going to send them through a process, well, I'm going to go through it myself. And so that is one of the ways that I actually landed on this website and this platform with you lovely people. I was on the hunt for affordable housing alternatives for my buyers. And that's my one of my big purposes. I think I'm here not just to sell real estate on the high end, but to bring affordable housing to everybody. And so during that search, I came upon this platform and heard Eric's webinar, and it just blew me away. I learned so much. So you guys have covered most of the highlights that I was going to bring up. But I say one other thing is that some people think that down payment assistance is for people that are poor and broke and don't have any money. And high income earners, like one of my buyers that I actually had sit down with Eric, she makes over $200,000, but she's smart enough to say, let me use other people's money first, and then I'll come back to what I have. And actually, in her case, she doesn't seem like she has a lot of money saved, even though she's a high income earner. So those are some of the myth busters that we like to bring to the forefront. To people, you don't have to be dirt poor. I mean, these programs are open for everybody. And so again, like Eric said, I'm in it to win it with one of my clients. And I'm like, I started the process before I even brought it to her, because if I go through it, I can kind of let her know, this is what I'm going through. And she's been communicating with me, Eric, and she says you've talked to her a few times and she's enjoying the process. And so yes, those are some of the things that I like. And one more thing I bring up too, as a listing agent, I'm so pleased to know that there are no increased timelines, because with some of the other down payment assistance programs, I mean, when you hear about it, it's like, oh my gosh, with the city, the city of San Diego or these other city programs, I mean, you're going to add 10, 15 days. And what happens, if they run out of money during that process, well, you've had your client's home off the market for like 50 days, and you still can't close. So with your GFSA program, I'm so delighted, and I'm so pleased to bring this product. And I talk about it on all my social media platforms. I think I talked about it on Saturday, and I've gotten so many phone calls, and so many people are responding and sending me messages because they just want to have more information. And just like one of my favorite books say, that people perish for lack of knowledge. And so it's our position, when we understand how something works and how it can benefit others, we need to speak it and let people know. So thank you guys so much for this program. It's a wonderful tool.
Thank you, Candice. Wow, folks, this has been a great show. And, every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, we try to bring value. The Homebuyer Town Hall is not entertainment, it is education. And I'm proud to announce that we have just one more show of the National Homebuyer Town Hall. And then we're going to be breaking out into many shows across the United States. There's going to be a Homebuyer Town Hall in every major city and every state in the United States. And it all starts in January. All of our shows will be live. They'll be live or pre-recorded. Most television shows are pre-recorded, but they'll be available on Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Fire Stick. They'll be available on all smart TVs and all mobile devices. You'll be able to get the information you need to start your search for homeownership, to get your money together for homeownership. You'll be able to get it on all those platforms. Our reach will exceed 300 million people able to access the kinds of information that we have been providing every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Now, come January, it will be everywhere. And then with this, every VIP agent, not every VIP agent, but most of our VIP agents will be hosting their own show. We have Jenny Gonzalez hosting the Homebuyer Town Hall in Corona, and Candice Thrower will be hosting the Homebuyer Town Hall in Chula Vista. And we're making it local. They can just go deep, not wide. Talk about what's actually happening in their city, in addition to the finance, and in addition to listings, and also the politics and the opportunities that exist in their city. So I'm excited to be the leader here at the Powers Now Media, and bringing this to the whole world, throughout the United States. And if you are a real estate agent and you're watching this and you want to be a part of this, reach out to me. Email me at eric.frazier@thepowersnow.com or call me directly at 714-475-8629. Now, we're going to end this show with our final comments from all of our esteemed guests here today. And we're going to start with Jenny Gonzalez, her final comments and her call to action. And of course, Jenny, your incredible show. You already have one in the can.
I'm really glad we went over this information today. It was really, really eye-opening, because I'm not sure what other agents are thinking the same way I'm thinking, the same way lenders are thinking about what are we doing with all these buyers and how can we get them into homes. And this program has put that into action. And Eric, I'm really proud of you for doing this. And I'm really excited to continue to educate everybody on what is going on in the market in our specific area. And I'm going to be hosting the Homebuyer Town Hall Corona, and I'm very excited about it. I've already got one episode under my belt and ready for my next. And if anybody's interested in coming on the show, sponsoring the show, or be an agent that's thinking about advertising their listings, or just gabbing the gab about real estate, give me a call. I'm Jenny Gonzalez with Keller Williams Corona. My license number is 01249788. I've been licensed since 1998. My cell phone number is 951-316-0374. And my website's jennygsaleshomes.com. I'm here to serve the community. I'm here to sell our homeowners all sellers, buyers, and everywhere in between. And I look forward to helping everybody, and everybody have a great day.
Thank you, Jenny. Next up is Candice Thrower.
Well, thank you all for having me today. I always learn something new. Meagan, you've been a pleasure. You've given us so much information. And I just want to go back to that program. I think it's so empowering when you have another tool, right? It's our edge in this market to be able to bring good information, to our buyers and to our sellers. And it's just so enlightening. Like I said, I was on this journey to find affordable housing. And if it wasn't for Eric's video, I probably would have just kept looking for affordable housing. But because it struck a chord that, people can earn six figures and still be able to purchase a home, it's an eye opener, and it's another level of service that we can bring. So I was just so happy to get that information and not only bring it to those higher income earners, but, our moderate income people like myself, included. So it's just been a real blessing. So I want to thank you for educating us, Eric, on your platform, and Meagan, everything that you've said and brought to us today. And again, I'm Candace with Candice Thrower and Associates. I'm brokered by AARE Real Estate, and I will be hosting my own show here in Chula Vista. And I'm looking forward to meeting you, and as homeowners, home buyers, investors, renters, all alike, I'm here to service you and to help you. So if you have any questions about real estate, if you're thinking about purchasing, selling, exchanging real estate, give me a call here. Even if you already own a home, you're thinking about financing an ADU, maximizing what you already have. Some people don't want to move. Some people love where they are. Give us a call here. We have solutions. Again, I'm Candace with Candice Thrower and Associates, and my number is 619-227-6089. My website is CandiceThrowerandAssociates.com, and I look forward to serving you and answering any real estate questions that you may have.
Thank you, Candice. And finally, our star of this evening, Meagan Harris. Meagan, you always do. I want you to know this. I mean, I don't know two better individuals, Carolyn Sansari, your boss, and our partner, and you, Meagan Harris. I don't know of two individuals who can really bring it in terms of presenting information about down payment assistance, and to do so in a engaging and entertaining way. And on top of that, to be able to hang with us, real estate professionals, in a town hall to chop it up about the business of real estate. On top of that, I tell you, your stock has just gone through the roof with me. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Any final comments?
Well, Eric, I mean, what can I say after that, right? I mean, you really do make it easy. The way you've set this platform up, the A-list of talent that you have every show, it's hard not to bring your A game when you get here, right? And the reality is we want people to benefit from this information. This isn't just an opportunity to hear ourselves talk. We really want to add value. So I just appreciate you making this platform available so that we can do that, not only for our public audience, but also for each other. The VIP agents that you have featured on your programs, on your website, all of your shows, stellar. Right? I mean, these are the folks that you want representing you when you're trying to buy or sell your home, because they have the insights and the tools and the resources that maybe the other folks in your area don't have. So anyway, Eric, you're doing all of us a great service. You're tremendous value that you're adding to the industry. And I couldn't tell you how much more respect I have for you and your platform. So thank you again for having GSFA. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, Meagan. You're very kind. And I have to tell you, I love what I do. I love the power is now, and everybody who is involved. Folks, we are leading the conversation in real estate. We're changing lives by providing information to enable them to purchase their first home, or maybe their second home, or their investment property, and to start building generational wealth. We're all about it. I'm totally in. And I'm excited about the future here at The Power Is Now. So thank you, Meagan. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Jenny. You all did a fantastic job today. Folks, remember, we are at our best and we maximize our success when we act now. The power is now.
The Power Is Now Media is worldwide with growing audience of future homebuyers, investors, builders, developers, real estate agents, and brokers. The Power Is Now Media is well positioned to increase awareness and produce results for our growing roster of advertising partners. An advertisement on any of our platforms is the right step toward reaching and communicating key brand messages to a targeted network of individuals, families, and communities interested in housing. Our content areas include feature stories and profiles on successful real estate agents, business owners, government, and community leaders. The Power Is Now magazines are the leading resource for real estate agents, mortgage bankers, entrepreneurs, and small home ownership businesses, providing leaders with business strategy information, resources, and tools through PIN, real estate, and programming guide magazines. Stay up to the minute with real estate and mortgage news and information from industry experts. VIP agents are able to feature listings each week. The Power Is Now TV radio podcast features weekly shows that include Homebuyers Townhall, Real Estate Roundtable, VIP Agent Spotlight, and so much more. Each week, VIP agents have opportunities to be featured guests on the shows. VIP agents can discuss and showcase houses, neighborhoods, and provide brief introduction. The interviews are unlimited 10 to 15 minutes on each current listing. This product alone separates you from your competition. The Power Is Now delivers to you market update interview to promote listing weekly, promotional biographical video, co-host a bi-monthly Homebuyers Townhall show, featured subject matter expert on Real Estate Roundtable show, The Power Is Now program guide e-magazine, The Power Is Now national e-magazine, article writing and blogging, social media content customization, inclusion and press releases, graphic design services, business and performance coaching, technology support, referrals, lead generation opportunities, and management support.